जब ऑफिस घर से दूर हो तो पहुंचने के रास्ते बहुत होते हैं। चलिए डेपो से बस लो, फिर शेयर ऑटो या फिर स्टेशन से लोकल ट्रेन पकड़ो। और वापसी का सफर तो पूछो ही मत। ऐसे आने जाने के ऑप्शंस तो बहुत हैं, पर आधी जिंदगी इसी में कट जाए जरूरी है क्या? अपना ऐप पे है लाखों जॉब ऑप्शंस, घर के पास, दूर और 2 गली छोड़ के भी। तो मैंने जॉब चुनी अपने हिसाब से। अपना काम आएगा।
इसको थोड़ा सा इधर रखो, कोट्स बाहर लगाया तो पेमेंट करवा दो यार। नौकरी ढूंढने निकलो तो कुछ ना कुछ तो मिल ही जाता है।
कभी बैठे बैठे मिल जाता है, अरे कटिंग तो कभी खड़े खड़े, कभी कोई नेटवर्क मार्केटिंग वाली स्कीम चिपका देता है। फर्जी जॉब्स के ऑप्शंस तो बहुत हैं, क्यों? भरोसेमंद जॉब्स पर हमारा हक नहीं है क्या? अपना ऐप पे लाखों वेरीफाइड जॉब ऑप्शंस हैं और बात सीधी एचआर से होती है। तो मैंने जॉब चुनी अपने हिसाब से। अपना काम आएगा।
हेलो, मेरा नाम मोहम्मद दाऊद है। मैं यूपी से बिलोंग करता हूँ। मुझे अपना ऐप के थ्रू दुबई पोर्ट वर्ल्ड में इंटरनेशनल जॉब मिली है। मुझे अपना ऐप के बारे में फेसबुक से पता चला, तो मैंने सोचा चलो एक बार ट्राई करते हैं। मैंने अपना ऐप पर अपनी प्रोफाइल बनाई और जॉब ढूंढना शुरू किया। फाइनली मुझे एक सही इंटरनेशनल जॉब अपना ऐप पर मिली। जॉब लेटर मिलने पर मुझे इतनी खुशी हुई कि मैं बयान नहीं कर सकता। मैं 1 साल से अपना ऐप यूज़ कर रहा हूँ। यहाँ बहुत ही अच्छी इंटरनेशनल जॉब्स आती हैं और अप्लाई करना बहुत ही ईजी है और इनका सपोर्ट सिस्टम बहुत ही अच्छा है। 10 आउट ऑफ 10 स्टार्स देना चाहूँगा। अगर पूरा करना है इंटरनेशनल जॉब का सपना तो डाउनलोड करें अपना।
जब ऑफिस घर से दूर हो तो पहुंचने के रास्ते बहुत होते हैं। चलिए डेपो से बस लो, फिर शेयर ऑटो या फिर स्टेशन से लोकल ट्रेन पकड़ो। और वापसी का सफर तो पूछो ही मत। ऐसे आने जाने के ऑप्शंस तो बहुत हैं, पर आधी जिंदगी इसी में कट जाए जरूरी है क्या? अपना ऐप पे है लाखों जॉब ऑप्शंस, घर के पास, दूर और 2 गली छोड़ के भी। तो मैंने जॉब चुनी अपने हिसाब से। अपना काम आएगा।
Start. Let's start. Live start.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Brilliant. Hey, Vinit, thank you so much for joining. I think we are all set to go. We are set to go.
Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you clearly. We have a fair share of comments that have already flown in, but
Okay.
would love to just start with a quick set of introduction, and then we can start with the flow.
Right.
Perfect. So, hello everyone. Wishing you all a very, very warm welcome to this second webinar that we are hosting, specifically focused towards international jobs. Before I start, would love to give some quick context about who we are and what we do. Apna as a company started back in 2019 with a very simple objective, helping the country find better quality employment. After helping almost like more than 17 lakh Indians find jobs during the pandemic and post-pandemic time, today we are steadily moving towards creating a space which doesn't really categorize based on colors. The journey has been an extremely scintillating one for Apna, and one which has impacted across multiple industries and spaces. As we speak, there are today about more than 3.5 crore users on the platform and around 5.5 lakh employers hiring on the platform itself. I, for one, have been extremely fortunate to be a part of this journey for the last 2 odd years, where I've contributed across spaces in revenue and strategy. right now, my heart and soul is moving towards making international jobs as a platform a successful one. And it was sometime early around in April. We were essentially researching and going through our user feedback forms when we observed that there is a uptick or a spike in the feedback of people wanting to migrate outside India. Right? They wanted to explore these options, and at that point in time, we were not offering that. Upon researching into this category, upon really going a little deep into it, we were surprised to find out that the space is extremely disorganized, scattered, and filled with major trust and safety gaps, right? What I mean by trust and safety gap is primarily owing to the high levels of fraudulent activity that takes place today in this market. So it was also surprising for us to find out that there was no one in the competing space really trying to innovate and solve for these problems. And it was at this very early stage when we aligned that if we were to solve for this, if we were to build product solutions that help towards solving for this problem, we want to primarily take care of two wide objectives, right? The first one being ensuring that the platform primarily bridges the trust and safety gaps that prevail in the industry today. So how did we tangibly try to solve that? Today we have around more than 2000 plus jobs on the platform, and I can proudly say that all those single jobs that have come through two layers of manual check and intervention from our company itself. And what we try to do is focus on the quality of the job itself. And the second primary point that we wanted to cover was essentially more on the lines of, if these jobs are being provided to the users, if the users are actually reading these jobs, are they legitimate? Are they providing the right information? Because we truly understand that the stakes when it comes to international jobs are way higher compared to domestic jobs. You are letting go of a lot of things when you're selecting something like this. So we try to put the information as much as detailed as possible. And if you were to go through those jobs, if you were to go through those job descriptions, you would find the level of nuance and detail that we try to provide across each job. It just tries to empower the user to read more, see about the job, and see if there's a fit or not. Now, with this vision in mind, across the last 4 months, we have generated over 1.7 lakh leads for international jobs, which is spread across 60 odd countries and 150 different categories. Right. So it's been some significant impact that we have gotten to build. And that being said, I think I would love to introduce Mr. Vinit Kapoor, our guest speaker for the day. And Mr. Vinit Kapoor hails from Salesman. And just to give you all some context, he was one of the first few clients we reached out to. And he has been a pivotal stakeholder in this overall venture that we have had by creating very active feedback loops, helping us understand what are the problems that this industry has and prevails in it, and then move on to create product solutions in a more tandem kind of a fashion where we are working and helping each other out. So lovely to have you, Vinit. I think it's been an utmost pleasure. We have had too many conversations which are frank as this is supposed to be. And let's ensure we can stick to that timeline. But extremely happy to have you. Would love to get some context about who you are as a person and about your company, Salesman, as well.
Thank you so much, Rohan. Actually, it's a pleasure actually to be here on the platform, and especially talking about one particular thing, one segment, which we are into in a big way now. And of course, Apna is there. So it's really great to have all the people here actually who have some kind of a stake, external or internal, into this segment. So just talking about my personal journey, and then of course about Salesman. I'm a guy actually who spent almost 17 years in the corporate world. And I knew that, yes, at that time also, actually, I'm talking about 10 years back, because we are into skill education and now into placement, especially international placement, for last 4 or 5 years. And so I knew actually at that time also that, yes, it was really very, very hard for a person like me also, that who was into that space. It was really very hard to go abroad, and you never knew it actually, that what you're going to do, whether it will bear fruit in the long run or not, because it was not sure. So what you were talking about, the fraudulent activities and all that, whether the checks, safety checks and all that, whether they are in place or not, you didn't have any idea. And unfortunately, you still don't have any idea actually. We are into that space. And So, I mean, we went into education, then skilling people, and then into placement. So our journey has been that way. Okay, we are in a big way. We are into placement now. So the Salesman Corporation came into being actually with that idea in mind, that how we can support the youth of India. Number one, to skill them, upskill them, train them in any way, and place them. Okay, so earlier actually we were focusing only placing them in India. But then we saw that we now, as the boundaries being removed, and the government doing actually a lot of work on in that particular space. So we thought, why not try out, and then we started trying out, and we have been doing it now for 4 or 5 years. It was last year actually when the government actually launched its altogether a new mission actually to put everything in place. Okay, as the space is quite disorganized and scattered, as you said, so government also wanted to do something in that, and they launched NSDC International. And we were fortunate to be one of the earliest partners with the government actually, and who are now sending these people abroad with the help of the government and with collaboration with Apna, and of course we do it separately as well. So it has been a wonderful journey until now, and there has been a huge learning for us as well. And because the space is still emerging actually, okay, for us also there are a lot of things to learn and a lot of things to pivot, and we have been doing it now. But it's fun to be there.
Absolutely, Vinita. Thank you so much for that response. That I think one quick note for all the folks who are sharing their details on the comment section. I think the first call to action you all can exercise is go to the platform and try to apply for that job if you all find it, either at an international or domestic space. But now coming to, I think, the topic for today, right? Vinita would love to start by essentially trying to understand, when we talk about international jobs today, what is the kind of lay of land that one can expect as an Indian? What are the different kind of jobs that one might find today which might help them migrate outside?
Well, I would say the space is quite widespread. So you just can't pinpoint like you've got this kind of job abroad and these kind of jobs are not available. So you'll get all kinds of job that you have in India, that you have the same kinds of job abroad as well. So you
Right.
start from the basic job that of a helper or a lasher or a mason that we have here, and you can go up to jobs like in gray collar jobs, like we have nursing and healthcare and all that. We have a lot of jobs up there, and then you can go to like highly specialized jobs as well. We call them white collar. So they are all kinds of job there. So you have a lot of requirements for in telecommunication, a lot of requirements for engineers and all that. So and it is spread across countries. So you have a lot of jobs actually, from blue collar to gray collar and to white collar. So, but I still wouldn't like to specify that. I would say that if you have got a skill up your sleeves, you're good to go out. So the only thing that you should require is, what is my niche? What I have been doing actually for last maybe 5 years, 6 years, or 10 years. So what is one skill that I've got, and you name it, and you'll get the job for that abroad. So just to give you an example, actually, we never thought that there'll be a huge demand for automotive mechanics, automotive technicians. We never knew that. And then we got this vacancy from one of the biggest countries actually in UAE, Altair Motors. And all of a sudden, we got the demand of not 1 to 10 or 20 automotive technicians. They immediately asked us for 100 automotive technicians. And we were at a loss. The only thing was that when they asked for the jobs, actually, they asked for the highly skilled workforce. That is their demand. That if you have got it, so the person should be qualified and should be highly skilled, then we have a job for you. And they are good paymaster, as we know that. So as far as that question is concerned, I think it is widespread. You name the skill, you get the job for that.
Understood. Thank you so much for your answer, Vinit. So just simply hooking on to this point of yours, like I'd like to just take an extended question there. And what I would love to understand is, there are multiple countries today trying to hire for Indian workforce, right? So one would love to understand, what are the different kind of countries that Indians could look at as options where they could possibly go, where there's a higher surge of demand, and which are the possible platforms, mediums, or channels through which folks in India can actually find out about those jobs?
So when you talk about the countries, actually, so earlier, if you talk about 5 years back or 6 years back, so most of the folks would only focus on Gulf countries, and especially Dubai being their one country actually that they would love to go because it was easier to go there. Maybe that was the reason, because they wanted actually that skill forced in Dubai, and they still wanted, they still required. Actually, there's huge shortage there as well. But I think that now the landscape has opened in a big way in last 2-3 years. So in Gulf you have all these countries. Dubai is there, KSA is there, then you name it, Qatar and all that. So they want, all of these want a skilled workforce from India. And then now we are talking about the European countries as well. UK has opened in a big way actually, and all these countries now, the good part is they have now the partnership with the government of India as well. So they themselves actually are coming into India and they are taking that workforce there. So UK is one country. Then Australia is another big country that you can try for. Surprisingly, Japan has come out as a huge country for scope for the healthcare workers. And the reason for that is actually we are a young country, and if you look at a country like Japan, actually, which is still struggling with a workforce actually who can work there, in fact. So they want a lot of skilled workforce from India to be migrated to Japan. So you can look at, and then some Asian countries like Singapore, Malaysia. So you can look up to all these countries, and they would welcome you, provided you have, again, you have the matching eligibility criteria.
Understood. So what it comes out, Vinit, then primarily, as it has always been, Gulf would definitely be a location for Indians to look at, as it seems the doors are always welcome. And at a newer level, you are saying countries like Japan, and also I've seen a spurt in countries like Australia, Cambodia, which is
some
coming
of the
up.
African countries, actually, if you look at it, I would name one country, Nigeria. So you'd get a lot of traction from Nigeria in coming race. Nigeria now the 6th most populated country in the world. So definitely, and again, the unfortunate part is they don't have the skilled workforce. So I had someone actually there. Now the telecommunication, actually, for the first time, they are going to lay their 5G, and they have a huge demand for the skilled workforce in telecom. So I mean, just a hint I am giving you. So these are some of the places that we would never think that yes, you can try your luck there. So the world is open and you can try anywhere, but you have to be very specific. Where do you want to go, and what is the skill set that you've got, and where is the good match? So ultimately, actually, it comes to the good match. So somebody actually who's in telecom and all that, and I would say he should definitely try African countries, and they are paying handsomely. They are paying handsomely. So you can try even Singapore, Malaysia, in these countries, and then Australia is another one. UK is good. We were actually earlier we were focusing only countries like Canada and America. I think now all these countries actually they require the skilled workforce.
Understood. I think the point which you very pertinently made about the age of the workforce, right, and the age of the country, I think that's a research where our users could possibly tread on and see and figure out where there's a right match, where there's a requirement. But thank you so much for your answer here, Vinit. And I think we'll come to a point which will ideally raise everyone's curiosity, right? Would love to understand a little about salary. Now I completely understand that there are multiple variables that affect anyone's salary. It could be a set of skills, experience, education, etc. But I want to objectively try to understand from you that if I were to simply benchmark an Indian job, for example, an account manager, right, or any other role, and benchmark that role against a role which is offered in a foreign country, considering factors like cost of living, considering factors like that currency rates are higher, is a person actually making more money? Like, is there value to be leaving India in the first place at this point in time?
I would say yes to that question. Number one, a big yes. And this is why the people are moving, actually. Otherwise, why would they move there?
Right.
But now you should have all the calculations in place when you go for a country, like what is the structure, tax structure and all that there. What salary in hand that would I get? What about my living expenses? What about my food expenses and all that? Because a lot of companies actually also provide free lodging, free food and everything. Okay, when you come to a few of the jobs, and if not, that what in all actually I get in hand, and then you can make a very simple calculation that yes, if I spend this much on my living expenses there anywhere actually, so the country can be like can have a very high cost of living. Countries like UK,
Right.
where the rent in itself can be in the range of 50 to 60,000 per month. But
Right.
still, that then you get good amount there, you get good paycheck. So you
Right.
have to make that calculation, but it's very difficult to say right now, Rohan, simply because let me give you an example.
Right.
Uh, the post the vacancy that we got actually for automotive technician from Altair. Now, a person working in companies like Maruti, Hyundai here generally gets 22,000. Say it ranges from 20 to 25,000,
Fair.
and they offered the salary like in the range of 1 lakh. Okay, it was 95 to 1 lakh 5,000. So we took an average of 1 lakh rupees in Indian currency. So it is 4,500 AED. Okay, and Indian currency it was 1 lakh rupees. So even I mean, when you look at this, it is almost 4.5 times of your Indian salary. So a person actually who is now migrating there, he can calculate very easily that even one fourth of that I actually calculated as cost of living, and one fourth of that I'm getting here. So that means simple calculation, I'm saving half the money,
Yeah.
and half the money of 1 lakh that comes to around 50,000. So the person actually who's a mechanic, we call him mechanic. Actually, we get a lot of garages and all that here. The
Right.
mechanic actually does not earn more than 25 to 30,000, is
Right.
saving 50,000. So I would say a huge yes, provided actually you make a good calculation of the same. Now, for jobs which are white collar jobs, okay, you were talking about, we got a 6 months back actually, we got a vacancy for key account management, and
Right.
the salary in Dubai was ranging from somewhere from like in Indian rupees, it was 225 to 3 lakh rupee per month. So
Got
that
it.
means there's a huge jump there
Yeah.
itself. So you can understand, but again, they wanted somebody actually who had an experience of say 7 8 years in that particular profile, and he is skilled enough, and of course his English communication is good. Because now
Right.
one change that has come even in Gulf countries, it was earlier actually limited, confined to only European countries and countries like Australia and all that, or Nigeria. But in Gulf countries, now they want people actually who can communicate well in English. And it is because the
Right.
kind of people who are coming to countries like Dubai, okay, cities like Dubai. So what is happening is that now we have this culture there that where they need to communicate a little bit in English. Higher the profile, the better your communication should be. That's what they demand. So salary actually, it's up to you that how you calculate it. You have to take it into calculation that what is the cost of living and what is I'm getting in hand.
Understood. Understood. Vinit. Like, I think you made it fairly simple, right? I think end of the day, it's about an opportunity cost.
Yes, it's
You
okay.
you hopefully as a candidate have two offers to compare, one a domestic and an international.
Yes,
And
yes.
if it weighs on either side, you get to decide it very simply. But very easily put, there are definitely opportunities out there, and people are definitely paying for Indians. So it becomes a proxy of your skill, experience, and your expectation that helps you get what you want to get. So thank you
Absolutely.
so much for that. We need moving on to the next question, right? It's more of a discussion than a question here, and we've already discussed about this. That's the trust and safety factor. So today, as a candidate who is surfing through the web, surfing through the internet, trying to explore offline channels, going across to different spaces and going to different thelas where they have put up stalls, and there are a lot of
Mhm.
things we have explored so far of how international jobs is actually working in this space.
Right.
Would want to understand how should a candidate in today's world distinguish between a real and a fake job?
Yeah. So there are two, three things actually that a candidate should do when he is trying to maybe apply for a job abroad. Number one, the background of the agency. Okay. So if you have an agency actually which has been there in the space for say around 5 6 years or 7 years, and they have got pretty good work actually in their own space, And if they have done that, there must be candidates actually that you can always contact. Okay,
Right.
that's the one part of it. So I would say that you should, do a thorough research before even going to the agency.
Right.
Okay. Now there are few things that you should always remember, and it will actually give the agency away. So there are many agencies actually. These are, and I call them fraudulent activities, because they first thing they would do is that they would ask you to submit your passport. That's
Right.
the first thing they do.
Right.
So okay, submit your passport. And why do they do that? Because if you submit your passport, you cannot go to any other agency and apply for any other job.
Correct.
So that means, and this is the first thing. So you should always suspect such kind of agencies actually, which does so. Now, I would
Got
not say it is illegal anyway, because if you are applying for that, they would require your passport and all that. But if they are asking you to submit at the first meeting itself, and asking you to submit your original passport, so that means you should suspect, you should doubt it, that there is something fishy there. Okay, number one. The second thing is, the many of the companies actually, what they are doing is they tend to send them on a visit visa or tourist visa, as they call it. Okay, so what is the modus operandi? Like, what they do is they have an agency outside, and that agency has a contact with the agency in India. So that agency tells the employer there that we have a bunch of bunch of skilled workforce in this particular sector. And sometimes they don't even have the sector actually. So what they do, they take a lot of people from India on visit visa, and the agency here actually will give it to them, and then they would search for the job. But once your visit visa expires, which expires actually in many cases, it is illegal to stay there. Now the problem is, you cannot come back because you don't have your passport with you. The
Right.
passport is with the agency. The agency there abroad actually. So anyway, I mean, any agency, if they are trying to send you on a tourist visa or on a visit visa, please say no to that. And it is not
Understood.
legal anymore. It is not legal as well. The government of India has clearly said it, ki if you are going there, go there only on employment visa, only on the work visa.
Got it.
And the third thing that they can do is, we have now a lot of platforms actually which have come now, and they are now offering international jobs. So if they apply through them, so it becomes easier, because these generally these platforms, they do a thorough check of the agency themselves, that okay,
Okay.
so these are, so and the fourth is, if the agency is anyway is has some kind of partnership, like Salesman has got, okay, we have got a partnership with NSDC International, so they have done their thorough check, you have done your thorough check, and now the candidate itself can do a thorough check of the agency. So I think it is up to the candidate. Like, sometimes what happens is, we want to go abroad anyhow, and when you say anyhow, you
Yeah.
yourself actually give yourself in. You say,
Yeah.
okay, मुझे किसी तरह भेज दीजिए. Now that should not be the way. Okay, that should not be the way. If any agency is saying, "Ki, we will send you there in 1 month's time, you will be in Australia, you will be in UK and all that," I'd say, the first thing you should do is, you should doubt the agency
Yeah.
and do a thorough check.
So thank you so much, Vinit. I think a couple of follow-up questions. In fact, one pertinent one, that is, I've seen this trend, right? I've seen this trend of work visa versus visit visa, which essentially expires in a few days, and then you are in a soup as an employee of any company, and then you're
Right.
bound to stay there. But if you compare it against a work visa, how much time should one actually expect it might take for one to get a work visa in hand? Like, what is a fair estimate of timeline that one should consider?
Well, again, it depends upon the country that you're going to.
Right.
So if you look at work visa for European countries, it takes anywhere from 2 months to 3 months. Okay.
Right.
Now there are countries actually which are taking a much longer time. Okay.
Mhm.
But you go for work visa in countries like Nigeria, so you are good to go in sometimes in 20 days, 25 days, you get it. Okay. Now, in Gulf also, if the job offer is good, if the company is good, and you are going from a good source, then definitely you can go there in 1 month's time. Okay, so I'd say you can take a benchmark for Gulf country. It is 45 days. You can go there. You can get your visa done, everything done in 45 days. For European countries, you can say the timeline as maybe 3 months, okay, 3 to 4 months, depending upon where you are going again. Okay.
Got it.
Like there were problems with Canada and all that. There have been issues with Canada for last 1 year. Now they are opening up. So I mean, it depends on a lot of things. But it all depends upon where you want to go and where you are going. You yourself can do a check on that, which country you want to visit and
Right.
how much time it will take. Uh, when again you go through like some of the trustworthy channels, it may take time, but then
Right.
the thing is that it is genuine. You are going through a genuine channel, and you should be patient enough. You
Yeah.
also should not be impatient, like I want to go immediately, why it is taking so long and all that. So
Yeah.
if you have an offer letter in your hand, the first thing you should have an offer letter. Okay,
Right.
if you have an offer letter in your hand, so that means you will go. Okay, now it may take 1 month, it may take 1.5 months, it may take 2 months as well. But if you
Hmm.
have an offer letter, if the company is good, they're trustworthy, and you have an offer letter from them, so that means you
Right.
will definitely go.
Understood. Understood, Vin. This is extremely helpful. Uh, I would love to understand. We've already touched upon it, or rather grazed upon this point. But with all these discussion points that we had, would love to understand why is India actually becoming this hotspot for international requirements, right? Is it just that age factor which is coming to play as a young country, or are they really looking at different like opportunities at a more country to country level, because of which you, like the citizen and the residents are actually benefiting? Is there a deeper reason to this?
Yeah, there are two, three reasons actually, and they all are welcoming reasons, at least for us in India.
Right.
Okay, for the youth
Right.
of India.
Right.
The first thing, if you look at India in last 10, 15 years, I think we have evolved in a big way. And when I'm talking about that, I'm not talking about the young workforce. I'm talking about the overall. Okay, we have evolved in a big way as far as skill part is concerned. We are highly skilled. We are still moving towards that actually. Okay, but now that we have done that work, now the world is recognizing it. And I believe if I'll just give you an example here. I'll take 2 minutes here on and give you an example.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Look at this. What happened after Corona in our healthcare sector? We have so much of demand of nurses from all across the world after Corona, and it was only because what we did in Corona in India, and we taught a lesson to the world actually, and the world recognized that openly. WHO recognized that.
Yeah.
So when you have these things coming up in India, when the you have the workforce actually which is highly skilled, and not only that actually, the application is also there. And the
Yeah.
third part is we are sending the message across to the world, to different countries, that if you want a skilled workforce, so we have been talking about this in making India a skilled capital of the world. I think we are now sitting on that juncture, that it should now become the skilled capital of the world. We should call it this way. So I
Amen.
believe first factor is we have evolved as a skilled country, and we are still actually there's a long way to go. But I think the government is doing a lot of work on that. Full credit to government on that front.
Yeah.
Uh, the second part is as Indian family, if you look at this, I think with this opening of telecom sector, of like the internet, the big way the internet has gone into villages now.
Right.
Now, these people actually also earlier they didn't know what is happening in Dubai, in Gulf countries, and all that. What different kind of opportunities are there? Now, think about it, like Apna going to like a remote area of Sitapur in UP. Think about that. So, like some of the candidates actually that we interviewed initially, so they had like Apna installed in their mobile and all that, and they came from the very remote areas of UP. So I think
Right.
that is the second thing that has really played its part in a big way. So that telecom revolution, which happened actually in last 5 years, it has done a lot of good actually to these candidates, and for the countries actually to come to India as well. They're getting good candidates now. And the third part is, I think now it is just the beginning. I think we are now for last 20, 30 years, this sector had been highly unorganized. Now, at least
Right.
we are talking about making it organized. The government is doing its own bit. We, as these private players, we are doing our own bit. You are doing your own bit. So we are now we are getting aligned somewhere.
Right.
And that's a huge thing actually we can do in next maybe 4 5 years. You can see like a lot of alignments taking place, and these people actually they're getting benefited, these skill force getting benefited and going abroad. And of course, the point that you touched in the beginning, that would be the fourth one, which earlier used to be the first one, that we are a young country, okay,
Yeah.
waiting to explode. So if you compare yourself with country like Japan and country like India, so Japan today they have their separate visa for Indian workforce. Would you believe that? They
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
separate. They announced actually a separate visa for that. So the
Brilliant.
countries actually, they are signing MOUs, they are now opening up visas, and they are inviting you. So it is up
Yeah.
to the youth of the country actually to rise up to the occasion,
Yeah.
be skilled, and then look for the opportunities beyond the borders also. We have a lot of opportunities in India, and we
Yeah.
have a lot of opportunities abroad as well. So it's up to the youth to choose where does he want to place himself. Earlier it was like we used to say always, I don't have jobs, and now I don't have job. I basically believe now if you have the skill, you have a job. You need to only open your eyes, rise up to the occasion, and latch
Yeah.
up to it.
Brilliant, brilliant, Vinith. I think it boils down to this one point that was roaming in my mind, and that is essentially due diligence, right? If we are just simply putting some time into
Yes.
figuring out what's best for us, I think that's more or less all we can expect, and there are a lot of things that can come our way. Brilliant. So I think Vinith, we'll move to the fairly last bit of question that I have at a informative level, and
Mhm.
that's essentially a request for you to touch upon the
Right.
end-to-end process, right?
Right.
When a candidate through any platform, any channel, any job board tries to apply for a job, from that moment of application till the point that person is sent abroad through the legitimate route, what can a candidate really expect? Because the key point that I have noticed is obviously the turnaround time, the time it takes for a conversion to happen is naturally way more with all these visa considerations, etc. So how long does a man or a woman need to have patience in this process is the question, and the overall process in the middle that one should be aware of.
Yeah, so I would say the first of all, the candidate needs to do 2 3 things before applying actually for the job abroad. Number one, he should check for the eligibility criteria. Okay, now a lot
Right.
of candidates actually they we have this fixation for European countries and all that, and we want to go there. Nothing wrong with that, but we should understand that all these European countries today they need that IELTS test to be cleared. So if you have not cleared that test, so that test in itself and the preparation will take almost 3 4 months. So you have to weigh in that time actually. So I what I'm saying is, if you want to go to the European countries, and if you have yet not cleared your IELTS test, so first of all you should clear that. Number one, you should also check what is the general requirement of IELTS marks, IELTS grade. So what grade do you require for work visa there? Okay, you should also check that. So the second thing is, and now we come to the like the other eligibility criteria that they ask for. Most of these companies actually they want the work experience actually. So
Right.
even in Gulf actually, you should have minimum of 2 to 3 years of experience. That is minimum that I'm saying. What they are looking for, like for this automotive technician, they asked for 5 years in India company experience, or 3 years in the Gulf. Okay, anyway, if you have any international prior and international experience, that is a huge plus for you. Okay, so you definitely get your job faster.
Right.
But having said that, if you have your eligibility criteria in place, give yourself minimum of 5 to 6 months still. Now, why I'm saying 5 to 6 months, I'm not saying that visa will take 5 to 6 months. What I'm
Yeah.
saying that you have enough time at your disposal, so you won't be impatient and won't take a wrong decision.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely say that what you can do is it is like when you apply for a degree course abroad, you do a lot of research.
Right.
You look for the universities, you look for the countries, you look for the like living cost there, and how much will I have to shell out from my pocket. I think the same research you should do for your working abroad as well, if you want to
Right.
work abroad. So give yourself some time, do a thorough research, and then apply through any of these portals. Actually, you can go
Right.
to Apna Jobs, you can go to Monster, and there are others as well. So you can
Right.
apply there. And then once you apply there, so agencies like us, so we are always in the lookout for good skilled candidates. Like in Salesman Corporation, we have one wing only, which is actually looking for hunting for the right candidates.
Right.
And good that we have a partnership with Apna now, and we get some very good candidates. And we have had some wonderful
Yeah.
success stories actually.
We will
Um,
definitely touch on that, Vinith.
yeah,
We'll
yeah,
definitely touch
yeah,
on that.
yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah.
what has happened actually is that our job has become easier. Okay.
Yeah.
So we automatically, when you apply there, so when a candidate applies there, so you will definitely get a call from any agency like us. So it might not be Salesman Corporation, it may be XYZ. So
Yeah.
then you should do a thorough check of the agency, talk to them. Okay. Good that if they have, as I told you, some kind of partnership with these kind of portals, because you have done your due diligence already, but they should also do the same, and it takes some time. Okay. And
Got it.
then you should talk to the agency. Now, what happens is you don't get all the jobs all of a sudden, I mean, from all the segments or sectors. So sometimes you
Right.
get one kind of a job. Sometimes, like we had a job in hospitality actually 3 months back. We don't have any job, but we have a lot of people actually still applying for that. We don't have job right now, but
Yeah.
when it comes, actually it will come in good number. So
Yeah.
you should not be impatient. You should wait for the right vacancy to come for the country of your choice. So
Right.
you know where you want to go, what is your
Yeah.
skill area, you know
Yeah.
which country you want to go, and
Yep.
now you know how you want to go. So if you have these three things in place, then you
Yeah.
should give yourself minimum 5 to 6 months and be ready to fly. So
Brilliant.
that's the whole thing. Now, when you are doing it through an agency, actually, and it is a genuine agency, and you can check it now with the checks that some of the hints that I dropped here.
Yeah.
Then it becomes easier for you because they do most of the work on your behalf. Okay.
Correct.
Then you should also do your own due diligence. So visa takes its own time. If it is through the government of India, actually, it takes some time actually for all these things to happen. Okay. So you should give yourself overall 5 to 6 months, and then
Yep.
you are good.
Understood. I think this is great insight, right, Vinith? And I'll like to drop a quick 2 cents on this after having spoken to a fair share of users who have applied for international, domestic, and have gotten themselves placed. I think
Yeah.
the key is to finding that right job. I've observed that a lot of users don't end up actually reading the details of the job, and that's where the mishap happens, that where there's a misalignment. But just going in depth, reading the job requirement, because there are ample jobs out there, there would be something that, like you said, matches
Right.
the skill set. So just
Absolutely.
scouting, finding it out, and then applying, and not just sticking to one space, right? For example, Vinith, you mentioned it's a 5 to 6 months period one should give conservatively, right? So
Yes.
it shouldn't be that you're not, as a user, applying to any other job. A domestic job would always be easier to convert. So always
Absolutely.
like make that basket as big as possible. But yeah, I think that's a great takeaway. So
Right.
that brings us to the final question, right, Vinith? I think we have come across this last 4.5, 5 months of journey together, and would love to end with an embracing note of those heartwarming stories of folks who you have been able to send through Apna. And maybe you could touch upon that and share some experience of your own in that process.
Yeah, it has been a great journey of Salesman Corporation with Apna, and yeah, and I would say that one area that we as an agency has benefited actually is that now we can ourselves look for that. Okay, this is the profile that matches the job requirement. So earlier it used to be like we used to wait for the CVs to come to us, and then sifting and all that. It used to take a lot of time. So now in one go, I can also look at it. Okay, these are the requirements, and they fairly match our requirement. So we do that. So talking about, there have been a lot of success stories, by the way, and talking about two, three success stories. One is of two people from UP actually, and when we talked to them, actually they approached us through Apna only. Okay, like we could find them through Apna. We call them up, and then we talk to them, and the problem with them was that they didn't know at all actually how can they go abroad. They knew actually a lot of people that they were demanding their passport, they were demanding money from them and all that kind of stuff. So So the first thing we had to do was that we had to actually make them aware of the number one, the job, and how you would go abroad. What is the way? So we did a lot of counseling with them, because they were from for a blue collar job actually, and they didn't know at all, to be very frank. So had we asked them their passport, they would have submitted it, and they would have gone away. But the first thing we said, you know, don't do that, we don't require that. Okay, you are skilled enough and you'll be definitely placed. So one is of Daud. Okay, he is from Lucknow, and the other one is of Arbaz. So these two people actually, they are now in Dubai. Actually, I am sorry I could not share the photograph. I would love to share the
Yeah.
photograph here. And
Yeah.
when we got the photograph actually in uniform, so
Right.
the first time, these people, and they are from the lower strata of the society, and this is
Yeah.
actually what I personally feel, that I think we have been doing justice with what we had thought of. So they come from a very lower strata of the society. They don't have money actually to pay to anyone, and
Right.
now these people in uniform, and we never asked for photographs and all that. They were so happy when they flew from the Lucknow airport. They sent us a photograph. There, when
Yeah.
they reached Dubai, they sent a photograph there. And yesterday we got a photograph actually in the uniform. Okay,
Brilliant.
that's
Brilliant.
that's one story. The other stories of Satpal. He's from Gurgaon. Okay, and
Right.
now this gentleman actually we got it from Apna again, and we all of a sudden actually we got a vacancy, and we had a very little time, very small window, and they wanted 100 people. So we said, "Ki, we won't be able to give you in such a short time, but whatever we can, we will try to do that." So
Right.
this man actually we could find him through Apna, and
Right.
he had been there earlier in Qatar, and but he came back, and unfortunately he could not get any job. He was doing a job here. Okay, he was
Okay.
perhaps with Maruti, and he was
Right.
doing a job, but there's a huge difference actually in salary, what he was earning earlier and what he's earning now. So he really wanted a job. So I'm really happy to share it with you that he got his offer letter yesterday only. So
Brilliant.
yeah, yeah, he has been placed, and the good thing is that he was getting here 24,000, and he's getting a salary of 1 lakh there. So that means
Whoa.
4,500 AED in Dubai, and
Yeah.
that's a huge company actually. Al Tire Motor is a very big company of Dubai.
Right.
So he has got a job there now, and it is on
Yep.
2 year contract, and it is renewable contract. So he's so
Brilliant.
happy.
With no
He gave us a
taxes.
call. Yeah.
With no taxes.
With no taxes, of course, that's a
Yes.
big benefit. Actually, these people actually they even don't know that actually. But somebody
Yeah.
who has been to Dubai actually knows that that's
Yeah.
one big benefit when you go to Dubai, and this is why people sometimes they love Dubai like anything. There's no
Yeah.
taxes and all that. So think about it, like he would be saving anywhere around say 50,000 per month, and he was only earning 25,000 a year.
Yeah.
So I just given you a few examples here. There have been huge success stories with that, with Salesman Corporation and Apna Jobs as well. So thank you so much
Absolutely.
for everything that we have done together. Thanks for all the
Yes,
support.
Vinit, it's been an honor for all of us,
Yeah.
and I think that more or less brings us to the conclusion of this event, right? And ladies and gentlemen, as we draw curtains to this illuminating session, I would like to extend my profound gratitude to Vinit. Thank you so much
My
for
pleasure.
having like the time and sparing that and sharing these invaluable insights with us. Your expertise is like for us truly enriching, and the understanding of international job in general has grown with time through you. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you
I'd
so much,
also like to
Rohan.
acknowledge the exceptional efforts of the team behind the scenes to ensure that this overall webinar was a smooth flowing one. And thank you so much for your unwavering commitment, folks. In closing, I have this 2 cents, right? I invite you all to take some action, whether you aspire to explore career horizons within India or outside on a global scale. Visit the Apna app, try to create a profile, try to craft your professional journey through that, join that vibrant community of users, employers, and job seekers where growth is not really having any bounds, right? That's the overall objective that we have. And with that, thank you so much for gracing this webinar, everyone. Your presence makes it what like makes this an enriching experience for us, and we'll keep hosting these informative sessions with time to time And at Apna, we are not just a platform, as we always believe. We are a united force. So I hope we can continue to support and empower each other as we reach the stars, as you might call it. So wishing you all an abundance of success and happiness, prosperity in all the career endeavors. Farewell, and thank you so much. And thank you so much again, Vinit.
Thanks a lot. Thank you so much. And I wish you all the best to everyone actually looking to go abroad.
Yeah.
And we are always there. We have got a brand abroad by the name Abroad as well, Salesman Corporation brand, abroad.in.
Right.
You can always apply through Apna or directly to us, Salesman Corporation. We are always there. Thanks a lot, Rohan. Thank you, Apna. And thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, folks. Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot. Bye.
Yeah.